All right, sixth grade, last part. So now we're going to go into analyzing the data a little bit. Now we're starting to finally analyze. We know how to do data sets. We know how to organize the data sets. We know how to make frequency tables. We know how to make dot plots. Now, how do we use these dot plots? How do we use these frequency tables? So the next part is going to take us to answering some of these questions. So we have already completed the dot plot for the number of hours spent playing sports or playing outdoors. So now I'm going to show you how to answer these next three questions. What number of hours describes the center? So we'll talk about how to find the center. How many of these sixth graders reported that they spend 8 or more hours a week playing a sport or playing outdoors? So how can you zoom in on just the people who did like a number or more or a number or less? So zooming in specifically into the data. And then lastly, the sixth graders wanted to answer the question, how many hours do sixth graders spend per week playing a sport or playing an outdoor game? Using the frequency table and dot plot, how would you answer the sixth graders question? So the last part comes down to how do you figure out the total hours in our case, right? So to recap, we're going to go through how to find the center, how to find the total, and then how to find the, like, zooming in a little bit more, not to the total, but maybe a part of the total. All right, here we go. Okay, so to find the center, we're going to start first with finding the center. Okay, and the center is going to work like this. Center just means middle. So to find the middle, we're going to move from the outside in until we meet at the middle. Again, center meaning the middle. So we're going to go from the outside in to find that middle. So the way it works is like this. You're going to start from the outside. You're going to cross off a dot or cross off an X and do the same thing at the beginning. And then you're going to follow that pattern. One at the end, one at the beginning. Keep going. One at the end, one at the beginning. So I'm going in order. I'm moving in. I keep going. One at the beginning, one at the end. One and one. One and one, working my way in. One and one, working my way in. One and one, working my way in. All right, down to these two columns. 1 and 1, working my way in. 1 and 1, working my way in. 1 and 1, 1 and 1, 1 and 1. Okay, so the only X's that I'm left with, the only dots are with the 3. So my center, my middle number, came out to be a 3. And I did that by moving from the outside edges in, because center means middle. All right, pause there and rewind it if you need to see it again, because we're going to move on to some quick practices with that. All right, so let's go ahead and do this one more time. So I'm going to ask you to pause the video here and write down this question on a separate sheet of paper. Pause the video, write it down on a separate sheet of paper. Go ahead and try to find the total. Go ahead and try to find the center. Go ahead and try to find the center using this dot plot with the strategy that I just said. So working from the outside in. Pause and then come back to check. All right, so to check, we work from the outside in. 1 on the outside, outside in. 1, 2, 1, 2, working my way in. 1, 2. I'm left with the X over the 1 or the dot over the 1. So in this case, my center was 1, or my middle. Okay. You can also do this with a data set as long as it's already in order from small to big, using the same process. So go ahead and apply the same process to this example, pause it, and then come back to check. So to check, we're going from the outside in, and once again, I am left with 1 in the center because I crossed off 3 to the right and 3 numbers to the left. So my center is still 1 because it's the same data set. All right. Pause here, rewind it if you need to, because that was how to find the center. The next part we'll be talking about is how to find the total or part of the total, zooming into the data. Pause if you need to, go back to find the center for review. Sixth grade, so last thing, find the total. Finding the total. Go ahead and pause and think, how would I find the total hours in this case if this represents 0 hours, 1 hour, 2 hours, and 3 hours? But somebody said 0 hours 2 times, somebody said 1 hour 5 times, somebody said 2 hours 3 times, and so on and so forth. Stop the video and think, how would you solve for the total amount of hours? All right, to find the total, you should be thinking multiply and add, multiplication and addition. So you're thinking 0 comes out 2 times, the total for that is really 0. If 1 comes out 5 times, the total of that is really 5. If 2 comes out 3 times, then that's 2, 4, 6. So that's 6 for an actual total. If 3 comes out 2 times, it is also 3, 6, a total of 6. So once I have my real totals, so this is the number total of hours, in our case, of kids playing outside, then I just add. 0 and 5 make 5, 5 and 6 make 11, 11 and 6 make 17. So in this case, we would have a total of 17 hours spent outside if this was the data that I was using. You can use the dot plot in the same way. 0 2 times means this is just a 0. And I can put my total at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 means that total is 5. 2, 4, 6 means this is a total of 6. 3 and 6 means this is an actual total of 6. And once again, to find the total from a dot plot, I can just add my real totals at the bottom. 6 and 6 make 12, 12 and 5 make 17, 17 and nothing stays at 17 hours. All right? So, to recap, what we have learned so far is to start analyzing data, we then need to organize it in order from small to least. From there, you can make a frequency table or a dot plot. And then thirdly, to analyze that data, you can find the center by moving from the outside in, crossing things off, same number on the right side, same number on the left side, till you're left with something in the middle. And then to find the total, we have to keep in mind that these are frequencies. So if 2 shows up 3 times, then that total is 2, 4, 6, if you're looking for the total. If you want to zoom in on, let's say, like, let's see, how many, what is the total number, let's see, what is the total number of hours spent outside for people who just work out, who just play sports 3 hours a day, right? So if it's just 3 hours a day, they can just focus on this and say the total is 6 hours. If the question is something like, all right, how many kids spent more than 1 hour outside? So the kids who spent more than 1 hour outside means all of these kids, because they spent 2 and 3 hours. So the total number of kids who spent 2 or 3 hours outside, meaning more than 1, would be 3, 4, 5 kids. So you can use that table to zoom in and get those answers for the totals or whatever other question it's asking you by simply remembering that these are frequencies, so you may have to count numbers twice or multiply. All right, refer back to these videos with any help for any help that you may need.